Welcome to WeakNet.Academy. I am your host and instructor, Douglas Bordeaux. In this video lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to set up my OWASP lab project. This lab project is a simple set of small web applications that are susceptible to some of the OWASP top 10 web vulnerabilities. If you're not familiar with OWASP, I highly recommend going to the OWASP.org website and finding out more about the organization. And if you're not familiar with the OWASP top 10, you can search the site and you can find the listing of the top 10. These are listed as simple web application security risks. So let's begin by copying the link to the repository here, which is github.com/weaknetlabs/OWASP-lab. I'm going to minimize the browser for a minute here. We're going to open up a browser. Make this a little bigger. I'm going to cd into the downloads directory. And I'm going to do a git clone, and I'm going to paste in the link to the GitHub repository itself. So now if we look in the directory, we'll see a new directory was made, OWASP-lab. We're going to cd into OWASP-lab. And I'm going to show you the contents here using the ls command. And you can see that there are two scripts. These scripts are the debian install sh script. There's the debian uninstall.sh script, and they do exactly what the titles imply. There's also a model, a data model SQL, and this is the SQL queries that are required to build out the actual back-end database schema. And then we have our PHP files, which are our small web application files, which are vulnerable to certain things such as cross-site scripting, SQL integer injection, file inclusion, and command injection. So to begin, let's simply do debian_installer, hit enter, and let the installer script run. What this is going to do is it's going to update your apt Debian package repositories, and it's going to install the LAMP server, which stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. And this is basically just going to install the web server onto our virtual machine here. And it's not going to do any extra configuration or anything like that. I'll leave that up to you as the user, and the script isn't going to do that for you. But you can see here that Apache is in fact now installed. MySQL is installed, and PHP is also installed. So next, it's going to prompt you for a password for the OWASP lab database. It's going to prompt you again to confirm. And then once that's done, it's going to do a simple query to the database to ensure that the correct schema was created. And it's also going to do a second query to verify that the data from datamodel.sql was inserted properly into the database itself. Finally, when it's completed, it's going to call Firefox, and it's going to open us up to the actual web application itself, well, the set of web applications. These applications get installed into var www HTML. You'll see that this directory was created here, OWASP-lab. Double-click on it and you can see all of our files here were installed. I highly recommend not having this accessible to the internet because, again, this is very vulnerable. This is like the easiest vulnerabilities to exploit for web applications. This is them. This is supposed to be for entry-level folks who want to learn more about web application penetration testing. So it's actually designed with that in mind. So the first thing I do is highly recommend just deleting the data model so it's not within your web root. We're going to move that to the trash, and we can remove the scripts also. We're going to move these to the trash. We don't need the README anymore, so we're going to move this to the trash. And finally, we're stuck with a bunch of PHP files. Now, all of these are web applications besides this one. This one contains the actual configuration itself. So I can do open with, and I'll open this with Atom so I can show you the configuration here. This is the password I typed whenever I was prompted for the password. This is the OWASP lab user name for the actual schema itself for the database, and this is the database name itself, OWASP_lab, and the database is running on 127001. Now, if any of these aren't correct, if you need to change them or you want to update them or make them more secure, like make the username a little harder to guess, then you can easily change these, and you don't need to restart your web application or anything like that. All you have to do is refresh the page. So finally, let me close these windows here. This is what the web application is going to look like, and like I said, this only covers a few of the OWASP top 10 web vulnerabilities. So let's scroll down, and in section 1 we can see the login for the web application. This is a simple admin login page here. You can see there's the username and password fields here, and it is susceptible to client tampering, SQL injection for the login form itself, and SQL injection for cookies as well. So what this means is that let's just start with the cookie. The cookie is going to be taken from the browser itself, and without being validated or sanitized, it's placed into an SQL query, which is pretty bad. Let me see if I can't get to this here. I'm going to click on the cookie manager here, and I'm going to say search all cookies for this. And we don't see any cookies yet, so we probably have to log in to do so. Now, if we use one way of an attack for this is, say we have an administrative user role, and then we have a basic user role. If we log in as a basic user and we tamper our cookies to make them reflect what an admin user would be, and then refresh the page, that cookie is going to be taken from our browser and placed into the SQL query without being validated or sanitized. There's no login token or anything to ensure that the administrator is in fact logged in, and it's going to show us exactly what the administrator would see. So let's just go ahead and type admin and then admin. Let's see if that works. Login failed. And then we're going to type admin password. And what I'm doing right now is I'm actually brute forcing this. And at some point, a more secure web application would actually lock this user out. So I'm just going to type whatever I want to, and we could just, we could just keep hitting login here with nothing. And you can see that there's no message saying that the user got logged out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt SQL injection in the password field itself. Now this is the only example I'm going to show you. I don't want to really give away all the answers for the OWASP lab exercises. So I'm going to right-click, inspect elements, and I'm going to hack this form quickly so that you can actually see what I'm typing. I'm changing the input type equals password to input text. And now I'm going to hit the X button here, and now you can see what I'm typing. So what I'm going to do is apostrophe space 1 equals 1 space hyphen hyphen space hyphen. And now what this is going to do is alter the SQL query in the backend PHP to be select star from users, where username equals admin and password equals nothing. Whoops, we need an or for or logic, or 1 equals 1. And then this right here is going to denote a comment, which means ignore everything after that, which is most likely going to be the rest of the actual SQL query, which is probably just a hyphen at that point. So I'm going to hit login. And poof, we can see that we did actually exploit SQL injection. There's a typo right here. I'll have to update that later. But we see another vulnerability as well. Can you see it on the page? That's right. The passwords are stored in plain text. So that's pretty bad. We can now say that OWASP Lab is a plain text offender. Anyways, let's take a look at our cookie again. Let's refresh this. And we can see that there is a new cookie, login as admin. You know what? I don't want to show you too many of these answers. I want you to figure this stuff out on your own. And in the description of this video, I will recommend places for you to learn about web application penetration testing and books and other resources that really helped me along the way. So I hope that you enjoyed this video lesson here on the OWASP Lab project. I hope that you're up and running with the project itself. If you come into any issues, simply submit the issue to my GitHub page, or you can email me directly, weaknetlabs@gmail.com, or you can tweet me at weaknetlabs. Douglas Bordeaux signing off.